I pulled this information from a school textbook, so people want to tell me about sources. I still don't think this is the best source, but it gives credit. You have Jutes, Angles, Saxons moving into areas. What are they doing?
When you look at the history of Europe, approximately 400 AD, a group of Europeans coming from the northern part of Europe, which you call Scandinavia, Sweden, Denmark, Norway, Finland, and what you call Russia and Denmark. They came down in a series of invasions starting in 400 AD, and they smashed the Roman Empire. These invasions continued to push 500 AD, 600, 700, 800, 900, and they kept pushing down into Central Europe. When these groups of people who are beginning this invasion, they're called Germanic people. They will come in and exterminate the Europeans who are presently there, which were primarily Romans and Celts. Those Europeans you call Germanic people. Three sets of these German people would go into what is now England or Great Britain. England and Great Britain was previously occupied by a group of Europeans called Celts, who are now survived as the Irish, the Scottish, the Wales. So those Germans invaded into what you call England. The three groups that invaded the German groups are Angles, Saxons, and Jutes. They will come in and invade what you call England and exterminate the Irish.
So let me stop it there. I'm going to get a little bit closer here, but wait a minute. Now that you've heard him, so you don't think it's just a black man that said it, here it is in the textbook. Angles, Saxons, Jutes going into these areas in that time frame. In the 400s. He ain't lying. Coming in a little closer, Beatty, whoever it is, describes the invaders as belonging to the three most powerful nations of Germany: Saxons, Angles, and Jutes. The first group to arrive in the Jute land in the north part of Denmark and whatever. And without going into it, they talk about the invasions that happened. So let's get to this. The definition of the suffix ish means what? That means putting it on the end, for those who don't know. Putting ish on the end of a word, like that's reddish, that's greenish, you stinkish. That's not a word, but of relating to or being, chiefly an adjective indicating nationality or ethnic group. Of or relating to or being, okay? It's relating to, but it's not that. It's related to it, but it's not that. They do say or being, and I don't know, it's kind of in there, but I think it's like still, whatever. But a characteristic of boy, but you're acting boyish. You can tell a girl she's acting boyish. She's not a boy, but you're acting boyish, like a boy, right? Inclined or liable to, okay? Having a trace of, you got a little bit of that. You got a little ish in you. You got a little something, a little bit of it in there, purplish or whatever, what it's saying, a little trace of it, not a full thing of it. What am I getting to? And shout out to Copper Empress. He's the one that goes around really spreading this information and opening people's eyes. She opened mine on it. And I already had that video of that guy from well before I even got on TikTok, but I didn't look completely into everything when I first, because I knew that they did the invasions, but as far as the name changes, I didn't look into it. So when you look at the people who have ish in the suffix, it is a person of Danish descent. Ish, as we know, is somewhat that. The people are called Danes. What you don't know are the people are called Danes from Denmark. Danes are from Denmark, and people who are somewhat a Dane are Dane-ish. That would be a person who is a mixed Dane, because Danes were black, or melanated, okay? So if you are a Dane, a melanated person from Denmark, you are a Dane. If you're a mulatto, you are Danish. You have a little bit of that Dane blood in you. That's what a Danish is. Britain. You got Britons, you got British. Okay, a Briton is a member of one of the peoples inhabiting Britain, prior to the Anglo-Saxon invasion. What? Who invaded? Angles, Saxons, and Jutes. A native or subject of Great Britain. A British person, even though they don't even speak of it on this one, a British person, ish being somewhat of or related to, meaning you have a little Briton blood. You are British, but you're not a full Briton. Irie, but really it's not spelled that way. I wanted to show you that because it's really spelled like this. The Irie people from Ireland. Okay, they changed the spelling, took the E off, makes sense, but country occupying the major portion of Ireland, whatever, this refers to the people, the Irie people. But you would think that they are Irish, ish being partly Irie, okay? Somewhat of, but not fully that. Bookish, boyish, purple-ish, dark-ish, Spanish, or what you may know is a Spaniard. A partial Spaniard is a Spanish person. Swedes are the real Sweden people. But if you are partially Swede, you are Swedish. Finns are people from Finland, like Ireland, okay? But if you have just a little bit of that blood in you, you are Finnish. Poles. These are people from Poland, Ireland, Finland, Poles, Finns, and whatever, right? But if you have a little bit of it, you're Polish. And the people invaded. As he said, and I'm going to let him finish, the people would invade, come into certain areas. Who were Germans, Anglo-Saxons, and Jutes, and we know who the Anglo-Saxons are, come on. And they would go into an area, mate with the people there, like they still do, have interracial relations, and then they would go ahead and take on the identity. They did that here in the United States. 1792. It has been suggested that the best method to facilitate the civilization of the Indians and attach to the United States would be to encourage intermarriages between YTs and them. And they kept going. This is 1816. When you come down here, it says, let intermarriages between them and the whites be encouraged by the government, the Indian savages, without getting into it. And they basically continued all the way up into the 1900s. This is 1888. So I'm going to let him finish up. Again, this was in the textbooks in schools.
Angles, Saxons, and Jutes. They will come in and invade what you call England and exterminate the Irish or the Celts. Their name will change into Englishmen. And when these Englishmen come to America, the name of these people will change to Americans.
Ish.
So the point that I'm going to point out to you, and you see this scheme,
English.
Americans are Englishmen.
English.
Englishmen are Germans.
Ish.
The Jews, Angles, and Saxons no different than Hitler. So let's clear in your mind about who these Europeans are you call an American. They come from Germany.
Let me just interrupt them real quick to prove this, because you'll say, well, how do you know they were black? Sierra Leone was founded in 1787 and settled for freed slaves and black Britons, not black British people. It was the British Crown, the white folks, establishing the province of Sierra Leone, okay, for taking out the Britons. They moved the Britons out, like they said, to Sierra Leone, and the British, set up shop.
Or Frenchmen. So Frenchmen are Germans. Another group, two groups went into northern Italy and northern Spain. They are called the Visigoths and Vandals. Those white English, the white Spanish, and the white Italian, the white from Yugoslavia, they're Germans. Another group of Germans will move to the west. That group is called the Rus, R-U-S. They will comprise your white Russia.
I don't have no more time, so you get it. Ish.